Hi, Lone Parent Helpline. Alice speaking. How can I help?
Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of the OPFS podcast. In this episode, I'll be chatting to Alice, who works in our advice and information service, about the helpline and web chat service we have for single parents. Alice, would you like to start by introducing yourself and just tell us a little bit about your role?
Hi, I'm Alice. I've been at OPFS for 21 years now, and my role's changed a wee bit over that time. When I started, it was just called the helpline, and that's literally what I did. Responded to people calling on the helpline. Since then, I've also done training, and I now write for the website. So my title now is a device worker and content lead.
How do parents get in touch with the helpline service or the web chat service if they're looking for advice as a single parent?
Yeah, we can take calls from single parents, from people that are concerned about single parents, from workers that work with single parents, and they can get in touch with us a few ways. They can call us on the helpline. They can get in touch with us through the website. There's a couple of ways to do that. They can either do the live chat, where they can get one of the workers to respond to them immediately over the website, and they also can email us through the website as well, ask a question, and we'll get back to them as soon as we can. It's open 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, from 9:30 until 4 o'clock. That's when the chat and if somebody wants to phone, that's when they'll be able to get us. If you want to email, you can obviously email at any time and we'll get back to you during working hours. Completely free, doesn't cost anything at all. Free phone number. If somebody's using a mobile, now it should be free on all mobiles now, but if you're concerned about using your mobile, you can drop us a message either in the chat or by email, and we can give us your number and we can call you. It's completely confidential, so people don't need to worry about leaving any kind of details. And even when we're talking to you, we would ask permission if we need to take details to get back in touch with callers about anything at all. We would ask their permission to keep a hold of the phone number, their email address, or their address to do that. But it's completely confidential. Even information given during the call is completely confidential. We would ask, we ask for a name when we're talking to somebody if they want to give us a name, but they don't even need to give us a name or any details at all. And we don't record anything other than a kind of brief description about what the call was about. I think the only exception to the confidentiality is if someone who was on the phone and they were telling us that they would want to hurt themselves or commit suicide. We would ask for information from them. We would try and get help from them. If we can't get it, we can't get it, but we would try where possible. Also, if we feel that children may be at risk as well, if someone is telling us that they feel that their children might be in some kind of danger, we would try then to get as much information as possible. But other than that, no, and they're very extreme circumstances, obviously. But other than that, no, everything is completely confidential. People don't need to worry about us, and they don't need to worry about us. No, we've got their number, we'll call them back, we'll advertise things, but that does not happen. If we take their number, and that would only be if, say, somebody needed a benefit calculation, and it was quite complicated, so we would say, right, I'm going to go and do this off the phone or off the chat or whatever, and get back to you. We would ask for contact details. Before we get those contact details, we say to them, is it okay for me to take these contact details and to keep them in order to contact you about your call? And that's the only thing that they would be used for.
You mentioned there a few things that people might phone in for. Could you just go over again what sort of things the helpline is equipped to advise on?
Yeah, we can really talk about anything at all. It's a lone parent helpline, but a lot of the things that affect lone parents are the same as the things that affect everybody and anybody really. So, I mean, I would always say if somebody's got a question and they're a single parent, come and speak to us. Yeah, we can discuss things that will contact things that no are a result of somebody separating from their partner. So if they have issues around what's going to happen with my house, where am I going to live, what money am I going to have to live on, so we can talk about benefits, benefits that you can claim if you're not getting any, how to apply for benefits that you've maybe never heard of, but also looking at income from employment as well. If the people that call are working, we can say, well, these are your options around your employment. Can you reduce the hours you work? If you have childcare, especially if you've got wee kids, if you've got very young kids, you maybe don't want to be out the house as much. And because you're going through, the single parents that call us might be going through quite a hard time, especially if they've just split up with somebody. We can talk to them about things they can do in that circumstance, but also anything at all. We can talk about abuse issues, we can talk about legal issues, especially around contact. We are not legally qualified, but we do all have experience, and we do all have training on legal issues, especially around the rights of parents to see and make decisions for children. So we can do that. We're not counsellors, but we're quite happy to listen to people. If people have stuff to get off their chest, quite often we'll have parents coming on and just going through a hard time and just maybe not having anybody that they want to tell about it. They can come and speak to us, and we've heard it all before. We're nice. We're nice people. We're just ordinary people on the phone like you. No, most of us actually on the advice and information service have been single parents. Not that that makes a difference, but we've heard it. We've heard the stories from people before. So people calling us should not be worried about lifting up the phone. I know it's difficult, but they shouldn't be worried about doing it.
It sounds like the service covers quite a lot. How do you manage to stay up to date with things such as changes to benefits, etc.?
Yeah, we do have to stay up to date, and it's a very important part of our job, and we do have to spend time making sure that we are up to date. We've got different resources that we use. We keep our training up to date. There is different resources on the website that we use. There is publications we use. There are other services that we use to make sure we are staying as up to date as we possibly can. Unfortunately, there are some changes that come in at the last minute, or in different local authorities, especially with councils, local councils. So, for example, if there's local council payments, which there are at the moment because of the cost of living crisis and everything, that councils can administer their payments. They can give them out at different times, at different rates, in different ways. And there's, off the top of my head, I think there's 41 different local authorities in Scotland. I could be wrong in that. Don't quote me on that's a bit of information I've not kept up with. But yeah, so it's hard to keep up with what every individual local authority is doing. But in general, no, it's especially with Scottish Government benefits and benefits coming from the Department of Work and Pensions. We do keep up with that. And maintenance issues as well. That's something else we deal quite a lot with.
Can you also provide mental health support, or can you also support people who are affected by domestic abuse, for example?
As I said, we're not counsellors. We are happy to listen, and if there is something we can do with domestic abuse, there can be practical side to it as well. Like parents maybe need to have a safety plan to make sure that if they if the person that's abusing them, if the partner's abusing them, that how to get away, what to do, how to keep themselves safe, know to phone the police. So there are practical things we can do. Sometimes parents will call us and they just need to talk about their situation. They maybe don't even realise that they are in an abusive situation, it's just that they're in a difficult situation and that it's having an effect on their mental health. So they can come to us and talk about it. We can refer on Scottish Women's Aid. we refer to them. They have counsellors. They also have a helpline where you can call them as well. So yes, we do we do try and help people as much as possible with abuse situations.
Sometimes it may be more obvious, and other times, whether somebody's in an abusive relationship or has left an abusive partner, how do you get to the bottom of what's happening?
If the parents are saying things like that, he phones me all the time. He doesn't like me to go out and meet friends, and it's usually the majority of the callers we have are from female single parents, are from women, and we do get some from men as well, saying that their partner is, and that's more likely to be the partner is hitting them, and that can be quite hard for men as well. So we deal with single parents, male and female, but it's usually female that come with the abuse issues. But it's things like, yes, that he's keeping tabs on me, he's trying to control me, but not let me see friends, not let me go out, not giving me money. I've got to ask him if I need money for things. So some things like that, I still think there's a kind of conception that domestic abuse is all about violent, about hitting, being hurt, and it's not. It's not. It's about it's called coercive control, where somebody tries to control somebody else by using words, really, and by using behaviours that can stop them doing what they want to do. So it's when things like that, when somebody says, "Oh, I wanted to do that, but my partner wouldn't let me," and then that's when, for me, alarm bells would start ringing. And we're not here to tell any of our callers what to do. We don't tell them what to do. We can advise them what's the best, maybe what's best in that situation. I mean, if somebody is in an abusive situation, yeah, it's maybe better for them to get some kind of support. It's not always easy. It's extremely difficult. If somebody's being controlled, it's extremely difficult for them to do that. And they've got children and they've got their life with their partner. So it's not easy just to walk away from a relationship, even if you know that it's not right. But yes, there's certain things that callers would say that would prompt us to ask about it. And as I say, we've heard it before. We know about abuse. So it's so if people need to talk about it, if they're worried about it, if they need somebody just to, and even if they think it sounds silly, I always say there aren't stupid questions. If you need to ask a question, ask a question. It's daft not asking it if you don't know, if you need to.
I'm just wondering, is there a time limit for calls to the helpline?
Not at all. Not at all. We're here to help the people that call in any way we can, and sometimes it's going to take longer depending on what the question is. For example, if somebody's just split up from their partner, there's a whole lot of information that they may need and that we can give to them around their income, their housing options, the contact that they're going to arrange with the kids, with the partner that they're not with anymore. So that can be quite lengthy. We wouldn't like to go much over an hour, because by that time it becomes difficult to sustain the conversation for more than an hour. And we might find we're repeating things, so we can arrange to call back. But no, there is no time. We're not rushing anybody off the phone. We're not saying to them, no, you can only talk for 5 minutes or whatever. Not at all. That's not the case. What I find quite often happens, especially with the chats are supposed to be short answers. Somebody asks a question, they get a short answer. Of course, the person that started the chat, the single parent, maybe doesn't realise there isn't a short answer to what they've asked. So it can end up being quite time consuming. So in some of those circumstances, I would say to the caller, look, you're maybe better calling the helpline and speaking to one of us where we can go through this in much more detail. Also, when somebody asks a question, it might lead on to other questions or other situations that they've maybe not realised that they can get help with or that they need to consider. So sometimes one question can lead to a whole lot of other ones. So in those circumstances, I would say to somebody, rather than do a chat, call us. And if they do call us, we can send them information out in email just to back that up. We can, even if it's just a link to information on our website, we can do that.
Is there a limit to the number of times a person can call if they've already called once?
Or as often as people want. Now, I mean, people's circumstances change, or especially see if we've given a lot of information, and this might happen if somebody is having a baby, single parent, it's not worked out with their partner, they're having a baby on their own. There is a lot of information. There's information around housing, their income, benefits they can claim. There's no legal issues as well. That can be quite a long call. Now, this might be, all this information might be new to the caller, and it's kind of unrealistic to expect them to take them all in at once. We do refer to the website. There's information on our website. Everything that we talk about on the phone, it's backed up by the information on our website. So we can direct people there, but they might go off the phone and think, I didn't ask about that, or, oh, I've forgotten what she said about that. So they can.
We're in the middle of a cost of living crisis at the moment, which, as we know, is disproportionately affecting single parent households. Have you noticed a rise in the number of calls from parents asking for help with things like energy costs and food?
We do get, we are getting a lot of calls about people concerned about it. And we do get, our calls do reflect what's happening kind of in our communities, in our societies, in the world. So quite often we do know our calls are related to that. And at the moment, people are really concerned about the cost of living crisis, especially about fuel. And there are resources we can send people to. For example, the Scottish Welfare Fund can give crisis grants to help out with food and fuel. Citizens Advice Bureaus, we can send people there. They have a lot of information and know of a lot of services that can help. But unfortunately, a lot of the services are very stretched at the moment. So there isn't always, we can't always give help, or the caller might have already tried the things that we can suggest to them. So so that can be difficult. What we can do is make sure that people are getting the money that they're entitled to. So say if somebody's working part-time, but they've not claimed any kind of benefits. So for example, they've not claimed universal credit, which is a benefit that can top up an income.
Can you do a benefit check for people that phone in? And if so, what kind of information do people need to provide in order for you to be able to help them?
In order to do benefit calculations, we do need a lot of information, and we do ask, as I said before, is it okay to take this information? So we'd need number of children, ages of children, how much they're earning, if they're paying rent, how much their rent is, a lot of questions like that. Again, we don't keep that. We ask them if they don't want, if the caller doesn't want to give us that information, then they don't need to. Unfortunately, we can't do calculations without it. But so we don't keep it. It's not, that information is not recorded, as I say, unless we need to get back to them.
If you're newly separated, dealing with forms, trying to find out what kind of benefits you're entitled to is quite a complex and stressful scenario to deal with. I'm wondering if your first language is not English, it might be even more stressful. Is there some sort of translation interpreting service that OPFS can offer, which is connected to the helpline service?
We do have a service. We can have a service where if somebody's they're coming on and English isn't their first language, or somebody's called on their behalf to say, I've got a friend here that needs to speak to you, but they don't speak English, we have got a service they can use. So they should call us, and between them and us, we'll kind of work out what's needed, and we can get a set. The way it works, it's a telephone service. So the person would call us, we would call the service, and then the service would connect the three of us. So the interpreter or translator, is it interpreter, translator? I can't remember what one is. The interpreter, the worker, and the person that's called in would connect.
And that's any language?
Any language, I don't know if there's a language they don't do. We certainly get a list of languages, and it's massive. So languages that I've never heard of. So yes, yeah, I would say it'd be very extremely unlikely if somebody spoke a language.
That's really good.
I was just wondering whether you are also able to give advice on childcare. I know this is something that parents are struggling with, particularly now during the summer holidays.
Yeah, well, over the holidays, especially if people are needing maybe need more childcare over the holidays if they're working, because quite often they know if you're usually if you're working, you don't get the same holidays as your kids get from school. So yes, we can give information on childcare. Especially on how no money to help with childcare benefits. Universal credit is a good help with childcare, to help to pay for childcare. I had a caller the other day that wasn't aware that you could get help to pay for childcare through universal credit. Yeah, so we can help with that. There's also the free childcare places, the early learning and childcare free places that people are entitled to. Single parents are entitled to them when their children are 2, not when they're 3 for the majority of people. So yeah, we can help people and tell them, yeah, this is, I mean, it obviously depends on the circumstances. We can't answer every single question, or we can't resolve every single issue, but yeah, childcare is one of the ones where we can say, do you know about this, have you tried this?
Do you ever get feedback from people that have maybe called you before and called back to say thank you, or do you find out what happened to them after you'd given them some advice?
Well, people say thank you, and it's really quite nice, because sometimes if somebody comes on, especially if you don't feel that there was much practical help that you could give them, or that know that they're in quite hard situation and there's not a lot you can do immediately to alleviate that. I mean, it's not about us. The call's not about the advice workers. We're here to help the clients, but yeah, we do hear a lot from the clients at the end of a conversation. Sometimes they're quite surprised and say, do you know, thanks for listening. It was really good just somebody listen to me, and thanks for talking to me. So yeah, so that's quite good. We don't often, the helpline is a kind of service where people don't often get back to us.
Yes.
I mean, some people do, as I say, they'll maybe have 2 or 3 calls, but not long term. So occasionally we hear back, but quite often at the end of the calls, people are pleased at the information they've got, and that's nice for us to hear.
Thank you very much for listening to the podcast today, and a big thanks to Alice as well for taking part in the interview. If you do need to get in touch with the helpline service, the number to call is 0808 801 0323. And if you'd like to listen to some of our other podcasts, please subscribe to our channel.